we're going to do a section called Bring Your Streamer to Work Day, where I interview chatters about their jobs, their unique and interesting and funny job experiences. If you have a job you'd like to talk about with chat, now's the time to do it. Lifeguard, comic illustrator, game dev, blackjack dealer. That's kind of funny.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yo, I can hear you fine. Okay, so I got a couple questions. When I think of blackjack dealer, the number one thing I think of is people getting mad at you when the cards don't go their way.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? Like, what is your experience with people?
That's actually like why I left the job.
Oh, okay, so you quit.
Yeah, I quit.
Okay, yeah, tell me.
It depends on like who the person is, who's like the dealer. If you're like a really good like personality or whatever on the freaking blackjack table, you can like make people laugh even if they're losing and they like won't get that mad.
Okay.
To be honest, I was kind of bad at that, and I also just got so fed up. I just fucking lost my mind at gamblers because they're so stupid. They're like.
Oh no.
I would just deal as fast as possible because like the faster you deal, the faster people lose money. And so like
you're a fucking cooler. You're trying to. Okay, all right.
Yeah, actually there was one time where like because eventually over time I became the fastest dealer in the casino. But before there's like this older woman.
Yeah.
And I was dealing at our like quote unquote high rollers table. This guy like had already won like a few $1,000s from us.
Okay.
And I was taken off the table early, and I didn't know why. And then when I was on my break, I asked them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, because we put this other dealer on because she's our fastest dealer, so she can possibly win us back more money from him."
More money out of them.
And then I became the fastest dealer, so they started doing that with me. They would put me on tables where like people were winning, which is like I didn't know that that's an actual thing until then.
That's so funny. You are actually the cooler.
That was what made people like really hate me, because like they kind of the regulars like
they
knew
can tell you're the one where they lose the most money.
Yeah. What ended up happening that like made me quit was there's this one guy who I was like beating the whole table, and he was like, "Oh, what car is yours outside?" And I was like, "You can't say that. Like that's like I could tell he wasn't like actually like gonna do anything." But I was like trying to be like, hey, you can't say that. That's like, that's a threat.
It's a line that's crossed. Okay, but how did you? Because I think part of being a dealer, like you mentioned, is like keeping even temperature or even emotions when the customers are getting either super depressed or super excited. But how do you respond when the guy's like, let's say they split aces and double down or something, and they got a ton of money riding on, and they're screaming and begging for it, and then you stone face lose the money. How do you?
I was just stone faced the whole time. I like did not show any emotion. I did not care if people lost money. I didn't.
Dude, I would actually hate you. I would actually hate you playing blackjack. Dude, I hate when the dealer shows up, they're stone faced and they deal fast, because then I just fucking bleed out. I like to chat with them.
I can't think of like any specific moments, but it's like there'd be times where I'd have conversations with people and it was cool, but most of the time I just didn't say anything.
Okay, sometimes when I'm playing blackjack in Vegas and I am drunk, let's say I've had a couple drinks, and I don't remember what the right math move is. Like, do I hit here or do I? And I just ask the dealer, is that annoying as hell, or are they fine with it? Like, where would you stand? People ask you questions on what to do.
We were all at our casino like 100% fine telling people what the like best move was. We had cards that like you could ask for.
Yeah.
We had a card that had all the best moves for every single situation. And so like it never was annoying,
right?
No, that was actually the least annoying part.
Okay.
Of, like,
what's the most annoying? What's the most annoying other than threatening your bodily harm, I guess?
Players getting mad at other players for not making the correct move.
Oh yeah, that is such an annoying thing to do. Dude, Slime does that. If you don't make the right hit or whatever, Slime will scream at you. And it's like, bro, it's all random. At least you learned good shuffling techniques. That's always good at events and parties.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Private investigator. That sounds interesting. When I hear private investigator, I feel like somebody's wife is hiring you to see if their husband is cheating. And you're like taking photos of him like sneaking into a hotel room or something. Is that what you're doing, or is that
No. So I mostly work in corporate investigations.
A corporate
Not
investigation. Wait, tell me more about that. Who's
yeah,
hiring you? Like
companies.
companies,
Yeah.
but to investigate other companies?
No, mostly internal. My biggest thing that I do is when a company fires someone and they suspect that they took IP
Yeah.
or they're doing some sort of, stealing stuff from the company and they're bringing it to a new employer. So I'm the guy they call to make sure that they know who to sue if something happens.
Is that? I mean, you don't have to tell me everything, but is that legal? Can they hire a private investigator on their own employee to like are you going through their trash and stuff? Or
So, it's generally part of like your employment contract.
Okay.
Like here's the rights, like here's your privacy rights, here's what you're giving up. I'm not a cop, I can't get a warrant. Like I'm not gonna
Sure.
go look at your personal stuff, but anything you do on your work computer most of the time, I can look at anything that goes through your work email, your work Slack, your physical desk if you had one.
So
Anything like that is fair game.
in 2025, I feel like this job is mostly technical. Like, are you mostly a tech guy? Is it like mostly like looking into their files and?
I'm remote 90% of the time.
Okay, well, here's a question I have for you then. So without revealing any names or companies, but have you ever caught somebody like the company was suspicious and they were right?
I'd say like most of the time. So I'm a freelancer. Like
Yeah.
I get I get just hired out like by whoever.
Yeah.
And most of the time, if it gets to the point where you're hiring an external person, it's not because you just have a suspicion. It's because you want like proof.
I see.
Like you don't pay for someone to come in, especially an outsider, unless you're like, I kind of know what happened. And to be fair, a lot of the times it's like, we're just hiring you, so we have someone who isn't internal to like rubber stamp firing or suing someone. Like we know what happened. We just don't want it to come from the inside.
So wait, so basically, they're a corporation. They've already caught someone. They have all the data. They just hand it to you, and you go, "Yeah, looks good."
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the problem. It looks bad if it goes from the inside.
Thank you for sharing this job. It's very interesting. I'd never even thought about this as a way to make money. That's funny.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. Traveling welder, premium audio sales, digital banking manager, NASA cybersecurity operations. Wait, there's so many. Dude, high school English teacher. You spelled it high shul. I gotta click it.
Listen.
Jordan, high shul.
No, I'll take the L.
That's funny. Hey, welcome to the stream. No, good to have you. High school English, you would be assigned a book like The Great Gatsby or something, and you would read it the class would all read it over the course of weeks and then do assignments on it. That was like the general idea.
Yeah.
So, but I've heard that is changed and you are no longer assigning full books. Is that the case?
But for the first 4 years, I did one book each year.
Yeah.
And worked relatively well. But the biggest problem, and this has just gotten more and more exaggerated with every passing year, the skill gap of your highest students and your lowest students in the class. And there's always going to be outliers, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But when you have like 35 or 40 kids and 10 of them are 5 grade levels lower than the middle level, and then you have another that are 3 or 4 grade levels above everyone else, it's really hard to do any sort of assigned reading more than just a couple articles.
Can you give me the whole arc of ChatGPT, like since it came in, to how you guys are reacting now? I would love to know.
At first, it was a little more obvious. It was just not quite as fluid with how it writes. And the kids really didn't know how to manipulate it. So they're starting to get a little better in regard to adding something along the lines of like, write this like a 9th grader or write this for an English class. So ChatGPT throws in words that this person would know. Because I would get papers, I'm like, listen, you can't hold a discussion without saying like is every 3rd word, and you're giving me papers with 20 syllable words in it. Like, I know you didn't write.
Wow, dude.
Some of those were a bit more on the obvious
You've got
side.
a young Shakespeare and you're shitting on his dreams because he's writing incredibly. Yeah, he's a little shy. He's not speaking up, but he's writing perfectly, and you're shutting down his dream.
You know, you're absolutely right. That is on me.
Okay, so previously it was very obvious, and now they're finding more advanced ways to use it that are harder to detect. But you're
Correct.
still pretty aware they're not writing it.
Yeah. So as a teacher, later in the term specifically, you really do pick up on, this isn't you. And even from paper to paper, because ChatGPT is not going to have the same personality that the same person would from paper to paper,
Right.
or assignment to assignment. They're not lengthy papers every time.
Okay, but at the end of the day, you still have to do some sort of writing or test or assignment to measure their skill. And if some kids are ChatGPTing everything, are you calling parents? Are you talking to the kids? Are you ignoring it? Like, how do you deal with the fact that this is happening? I guess I just want to get a better...
I mean, similarly to plagiarism, in all honesty, when a kid cheats across the board, whether it's I copied someone else, had someone write it for me, whatever the case may be, it's a very subjective thing. I try to talk to the kids first to find out the why did you use ChatGPT on this, tackling that first. If it was, well, I just didn't feel like doing it, okay, well, we gotta have a discussion about that. If it's, I really didn't have the time, but I couldn't afford the zero, and this is the first time you've done anything like this all term, there's some leniency in that regard. But in the end, it's just if I have a kid submit a ChatGPT paper and I talk to them about it and they're just kind of whatever, I don't give a shit. Well, then, all right, you're getting a zero because you didn't write this. You owned up to it. It really is not much different than plagiarism.
Right.
Have your computer write for you versus I'm just copied someone else or stole a paper from online.
That's interesting. I'd say the one difference is that how easy it is to do. I feel like if you wanted to plagiarize back in the day, it's a complicated process or costs money or something. You know what I'm saying? But with ChatGPT, it's so tempting. Yeah.
The thing that really gripes me, and my big soapbox here, is the kids that are too lazy to even do that. I've had so many kids not submit an assignment that they could just copy and paste into ChatGPT. And when I'm like, bro, why didn't you turn this in? And they're like, well, I didn't even feel like that. I'm like, I just want...
Dude, there's almost something based about being too lazy to ChatGPT. I'll take the zero. I'm not going to let a machine take my paper. I'll just take the zero. I think your students sound very lucky to have you. I mean, it sounds like this is a situation that could easily be more depressing in your position, and that you have a positive outlook and are treating them with respect. It sounds really cool. The fact that you can't spell school is not a losing proposition for them. They're actually winning. Have you ever thought about making the kids watch Marketing Monday videos so that they can start learning early and I could get a fan for life from an early age?
I will absolutely pass it down to the marketing department with English, unless you want to start talking about like language structures and how we use our mouth to speak and like what an adverb is. We'll go from there. But...
Right. All right, we'll work on that. I'll do Adverb Tuesdays, and we'll see if that can make it in. Jordan, a pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much. Nuclear missile, Chili's cook. Fuck it. For the fans. Hello. Thank you for coming on. Listen, I am a huge fan of what you do. I want to stop and chat. We'll salute for a second. You are doing a damn good thing here. Okay?
Thank you.
Feeding hungry people in a brilliant establishment like Chili's.
I have worked at this specific Chili's for 4 years.
Okay.
So I've just been locked down here.
You are locked down.
I'm locked in at the Chili's, man. It's bad. It's bad out here. But I've heard, because this is how I describe it to people. It's like people want the service of a sit-down restaurant at the speed of a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult when people are like, get me my food, and I'm like, because it's real food. We got like shipments and fresh meat and everything.
You're just getting so much more, and it tastes better for the price than McDonald's, which is essentially the same price. Like, it's essentially.
Yeah, dude.
What as a Chili's expert, you've been there a long time, you've seen everything. What would you suggest is the good order? Let's say you're talking to someone in chat who's going to go to their first Chili's. What should they get?
I mean, okay, I'm kind of going against myself here, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
But the triple dipper.
Okay.
Because so there's like 3 zones. I love them, but I hate making them. I realize how cost effective and good it is because you get 3 things. Like, it's an insane deal.
Yeah.
But I have to make them every time.
So I see people order a triple, and I'm like, oh, you're smart.
Right. Okay. What do you get? Like if you were ordering for yourself, what's your order of choice?
Way back when, I would just get like pastas or quesadillas. But since it's all like fresh ingredients, I can like mix and match. Like one thing that I've done recently is the margarita chicken seasoning. I'll just get some of the margarita chicken and some of the rice and just eat that.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's all like raw, fresh ingredients, so I don't actually have to like, you know.
Bro, you sound like an ad, but you're not paid to do this. Like you're actually just telling me what. I know that's fucking cool.
I do have to say, as one last thing.
Yeah.
The whole stream where you came in and they like ordered the birthday molten.
You guys better be hungry because we got a lot of chilies to eat. It's about to close. I'm here at closing.
I have to say, because you think like oh, it might be annoying. Honestly, it's like refreshing doing anything but just making food for people over and over again. It's such a grind. But like when you're like connecting with somebody, you know, like and actually being genuine to like your servers and stuff, it is so nice just like having a human connection where it doesn't feel that you're like I'm not like a wage slave, like I'm not just make my burger,
right? But
they're actually like they're like,
so you wouldn't feel annoyed if there was like a weird guy in the corner talking to himself and said Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
As long as that wouldn't bother you. I mean, you're making me feel better because I felt very embarrassed about that whole thing. But I'm glad. I'm glad it wasn't so bad. RC, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. This is very fun. XFTC chair. There's no fucking way, right? There's no fucking way. Lena Khan's in my chat. No fucking way. No. Imagine that's Lena Khan. She's just sad. Lena Khan crestfallen at her computer, like, maybe next time. Click it. No, dude, I don't want to incentivize people to just fucking lie or make jokes. You know, there's like real people with real jobs in here. Balding at 21 is not a job. That's just being a Twitch viewer. Professional trust fund, baby. ER doctor. Kayla. Hello. Can I first ask you the most important question? Have you ever seen House MD?
I've seen like a few episodes of it. I haven't seen many of those. You mean where everything's lupus? Is that the one?
Yes. I was going to say, how true is that to real life? Because it seems like it's a documentary.
Not at all. I've never seen lupus in my life.
All right, so tell me about being an ER doctor. I've been starting all these by saying what my first impression is, what my thoughts are. It sounds like an extremely stressful job where you see blood and guts and damage all the time. Can you tell me is there truth or falsehood in that?
There's definitely truth in that. We see a lot of crazy shit. That's definitely true with like TV stuff.
Okay.
But then there's also a lot of bullshit. Like I've had chest pain for the past 2 years, and today is the day that I'm coming in to get it figured out. Or like my child looked at me wrong, they might be dying. Like that.
Okay.
Where it's like, holy shit, everybody take the chill pill. I can't figure this out.
What's the percentage? Like how many of your patients in a day do you think are just incorrectly diagnosing themselves and it's not that serious?
Oh, you mean how many times a day I hear I Googled?
Yeah.
Oh, at least 5 or 6 times a day.
Oh,
for
wow.
Sure. For sure.
That would be so frustrating.
Yeah. But then you see the cool stuff in between, and it makes.
What's the cool stuff? What is the cool stuff of the job?
The cool stuff, it may seem very morbid, but all the things where you get to do cool procedures like intubating people or putting tubes in people's chests. Yeah.
First of all, this is a hard job to get into. This is not easy. What was the process to get here?
You got to do 4 years of undergrad, and then you have to do 4 years of medical school.
Oh my god!
And then 3 to 4 years of whatever specialty you want to do. So for ER, it could be 3 or 4. It depends on the program.
So you're after 11 plus years, essentially, of training and schooling to be where you are now.
Hell yeah. That's what keeps you going. Can't turn back now.
Well, yeah, you can't turn back now. After. Okay, so now you're in. And do you like it? That's my first real question. Do you enjoy the job?
There are moments where you definitely don't. But then you get those moments where, like, you know, somebody's alive because the team did something, or or things that kind of like shine through and make it so worth it at the end of the day.
In
It's
House
stuff like
MD,
that.
they often will break into the patient's house to get data on them to diagnose them. Is that a big part of your job, or does someone
Absolutely.
else do that? Yeah.
There's a specific class we take in medical school called breaking and entering. And it's essential to figure out what's going on.
That's good. What about patients who are afraid of the cost? Because obviously we know it's very expensive.
I'm lucky in being an ER doctor that I don't have to deal with insurance companies like family medicine doctors do, where they have to get approval. Technically, in my realm, like it's an emergency. I don't have time to talk to an insurance company.
Right, you just do it.
You just do it. But there are still patients who come in like self-pay who will be like, I can't get that CAT scan. I can't do this. I can't do that.
Dude,
because
that's
it's going to come out
crazy.
to be like a bajillion dollars.
You know, people having to choose between their financial health and their physical health.
Right.
In the
right.
long
You
run,
just
it's bad for both. Like, it's not fair. It's not, it's messed up. I just want to live in the fantasy world. I want it to be lupus every time. I don't want the real horrors.
House MD it is. House MD it is.
Much appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Good luck with the
Thanks
job.
for having me.
I want to pick a weird one. Let's do private yacht crew. How about that? Okay, Drew. Thank you, first of all, for taking the time and coming on to the broadcast. When I think of a private yacht deckhand, I think of having to deal with a lot of very rich people. Now, this is a rented private yacht, like different people are renting it for parties and such.
No, private. There's like two kinds of people in my role: private versus charter. And private is you work for one boat, one owner. Whenever the owner wants to use the boat, you are there and you're working directly for him. Charter is kind of like think of like a mix of an Airbnb and a hotel, and that people rent out the boat and they rent out the crew with it as well, and you work for them.
Wait, so how often can
like
this
that.
person be yachting? Is this a full-time job, or how does this work? How do you?
I mean, these are rich motherfuckers, so they want to go out 3 times a week when they have a slow week in whatever their day job is. Just yesterday, my boat's owner left town for a month.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be back, and so I'm basically just maintaining, cleaning the yacht, and fixing anything that's broken. Hence, I'm available to talk at what is 2 a.m. in the East Coast time.
Okay, but you still have to show up to the boat?
Right now, I'm not living aboard, but for call it 8 months out of the year, I live aboard the boat.
Oh, wow.
There are dedicated crew quarters, and
so this is rich. This is rich. We're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about like upwards of $100 million net worth.
Oh wow, this
people.
is This is like very, very wealthy people. Holy shit! What kind of behavior are these people getting up to? Are you under the situation where you just can't?
This guy, he's a pretty good family man. He mostly uses the boat to hang out with his family and some friends that he takes along with him. But no, I've spent some time in crew houses, which are essentially like hostels for yacht crew that don't have work right now.
Sure.
At the moment, there is some absolutely depraved behavior going on.
But then, okay, what's interesting to me is you're describing someone who has enough money to buy a yacht and go out 3 times a week, and they're just chilling. They're just
like he wants to go park off a shallow area and go fishing off the back of his 100-foot yacht, and wants to use it as a mobile cigar lounge, just hanging out with his buddies.
He's a viber, dude. He's just vibing at the level of wealth that's astronomical. That's
astronomical is putting it lightly.
No, I mean that yacht money is truly the final frontier of wealth. I mean, especially my understanding is if you ever have a yacht that has live-in crew, then you're really in the truly insane range.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I'll say is, I assume you're going to beautiful areas or like, it's just nice. Is that part of the job you enjoy? Like what part of the jobs do you enjoy? What part do you hate?
I'll start with the hate in that, like, you're gonna miss most kind of holidays. That's kind of like the bad part, and it's also pretty hard to have a relationship. The good parts, like you mentioned, and like you have pulled up on your stream right now, like you get to visit some incredible places, and also the money. You have no cost of living, which
Right.
you don't think about in your salary. You're living aboard. Your transportation to and from work is waking up, putting on your clothes, and walking upstairs. My boat currently does not have a chef, but it's very common for them to have a chef that will cook all the meals for the crew and the owners.
Right. You're not.
So-
yeah. I mean, I didn't really think about the no rent, no housing costs. That saves up money pretty quick. Thanks for sharing with us. I know all of my chatters are going to be 100 millionaires soon, so when they buy their own yachts, maybe they will talk to you for advice.
Yeah, maybe I'll make enough money through this job that they'll be working for me.
This will be a chain, dude. We'll just get a chain of fucking yacht owners. Anyway, Drew, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing with us.
Lazy gang.
Lazy gang.